I didn't think I would ever cover this movie because it's so sleazy. There's very little of it I'll be able to show you here on YouTube, but I've talked about all of the other Ilsa films, so for the sake of completion, let's take a look at this one. And just like when you pass the girls' locker room in high school, you're gonna have to use your imagination. Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Ilsa the Wicked Warden from 1977. This isn't really an Ilsa film. In fact, it was released under a few different titles like Greta the Mad Butcher and Wanda the Wicked Warden, so not always as an Ilsa film. I mean, my copy is called Greta Haus ohne Männer, which is German for Greta House Without Men. But Dyanne Thorne is in it, and she plays the sadistic warden of an all-female rehabilitation clinic, so it makes sense that they would market it as an Ilsa film. As far as I'm concerned, there's really only two Ilsa films. There's Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, and Ilsa, Harem Keeper of the Oil Sheiks. These were the ones done by Don Edmonds, but, let's not be sticklers. We can have more than two Ilsa films. Let's see how this one turned out. After some credits that wind their way through the jungle up to the prison, which we'll find out later is really a clinic and not a prison at all, we open on a shower scene. So immediately we're into stuff you can't see on YouTube. But in another part of the movie, Dyanne Thorne lowers herself into a bath, and you can't see that here either.
Now just work here.
But of course, we don't have to stay here. You can now support the channel on Patreon and get access to spicy versions of my reviews. Link is in the description. Over in the shower, one of the ladies freaks out, and it was a distraction to allow one of the other ladies to escape. She runs out into the jungle, kills one of her pursuers, and is then shot. She survives the shooting, and the narrator tells us that she eventually found her way to him. He's a doctor, and he patches her up. And he was just about to call the police to see what was going on with this girl when Ilsa shows up to reclaim her property. So we're off to a pretty good start here. Shower scene, bath scene, an escape, and a shooting. Yeah, that's a pretty good 8 minutes. The narrator then tells us that the woman later died. And then at a meeting of some sort, the doctor informs us that this prison isn't a prison at all. It's a kind of a clinic that treats women for various sexual problems, nymphomania, lesbianism, and other stuff that looks good on film. And since these patients aren't dangerous, it's weird the clinic sent armed guards after the girl who escaped. And so this group, or whatever this group is supposed to be, decides that this clinic needs to be investigated, but they need a reliable witness. As luck would have it, after the meeting, a lady sticks up the doctor and tells him to send her to the clinic as a patient so she can investigate. That woman who escaped and later died, that was her sister. So off she goes to the clinic, and like most women in prison movies, the first step is to get hosed down. She gets her uniform, a shirt, and nothing else. But don't worry, she does have a fur bikini. It was the 70s after all. Anyway, she's shown to her bed and meets some of the other girls, including the lovely Lina Romay, looking super cute with a bob. And things are about to go from cute to hot because Dyanne Thorne invites Lina Romay into her office for a massage, a naked massage. Lina Romay and Dyanne Thorne together, the exploitation gods are smiling at us this week.
Tell me about it, sweetheart.
After Ilsa is sufficiently loosened up, she gives Lina an acupuncture treatment. Except they're not acupuncture needles, they're sewing needles, which is quite painful. Even more so when, after she's all porcupined, Ilsa gives her a great big bear hug. And I think I saw them do that in one of the X-Men movies. Of course, the Dyanne Thorne, Lina Romay version is much better. So, our fake patient continues her investigation, but before she learns very much, she has to wash Lina Romay in the shower, and this leads to a fight, which lands our investigator in Ilsa's hands, and that ain't good. And we learn from this scene that Ilsa films her torture sessions, and then these films are then sold to this cool guy. Back in the clinic, our investigator enlists the help of another patient who then talks to Lina Romay, and then Lina finds out from Ilsa that the investigator's sister isn't dead. She's being kept in the hole, and she's been there for a year. So now Ilsa wants to find out exactly who this investigator is and why she's asking all these questions. And apparently, I guess she did figure it out, because in the next scene, she visits with that sister down in the hole who's not dead and tells us that she needs to reveal the name of her leader in the terrorist group, or else her sister, the investigator, will get the same treatment.
Plot thickens.
So now, 1 hour into the movie, we learn that the sister's not dead and she was the member of like a terrorist organization or something. Yeah, okay, sure, let's just go with that. There was no need to introduce these plot details earlier in the film. Good job, Jess Franco. So since Ilsa wants to find out about this terrorist group, does that make her a good guy? No, probably not. In fact, definitely not. But that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Dyanne, Thorne, and Lina Romay together in a women in prison film? Yes, please, and thank you.
That's what I want.
They are gorgeous. Lina looks great here with her short hair, and Dyanne as a strawberry blonde instead of the normal bleach blonde is also a nice change. And aside from the hairdos, what they do is even better. They take baths and they take showers, and at one point they even smoosh their together. That there is worth the price of admission. And just in general, when it comes to the sleazier elements of women in prison films, this one does deliver the sleaze. And how? I lost track of how many shower scenes are in this movie. At least 3. I mean, for being a dirty movie, these ladies keep clean. And it also has all the other elements we would expect from a women in prison film. We've got sadistic guards, and some torture, and some lesbianism. You know the drill. As a final highlight, this thing has one hell of a cool ending. It's one of the best endings I've seen in a women in prison film. In fact, it might be my favorite ending to a women in prison film. And yet, despite everything I just said, this film is not perfect. Like a sadistic warden giving her plaything a good poking with needles, this film has some shortcomings. Well, this movie is hot trash. No doubt about that. The script is nearly nonsensical. A woman signing herself into a shady clinic to investigate her sister's disappearance, that's fine. That's actually a pretty cool twist on the formula. But then the movie adds terrorist groups and a weird side hustle about selling films to a pornographer, and it's all just too much. There was no reason to make the film that complicated. And beyond the writing, the acting here is pretty bad. But I can forgive that. What I have a harder time forgiving is the fact that the cinematographer didn't focus the damn camera in this scene. And the scene goes on for quite some time, completely out of focus. And it's weird because at other times I rather like the way this thing was filmed. We got lots of these cool like close-ups of these really lovely faces, which is pretty unique for a Jess Franco film. I mean, faces aren't the things that he normally zoomed in on. With plenty of Jess Franco films, you sometimes got the impression he was filming training films for gynecology students. But here, not so much. And maybe it's a matter of taste, and maybe it's an unfair comparison, but compared to the other Ilsa movies, the torture dial has been turned way down. Instead, here, the torture is more sexual humiliation and degradation. So if those are your things, then this movie might hit your sweet spot.
Bunch of degenerates.